funny until someone gets hurt.
There's bugs in my skin. You're responsible for me. I'm getting offended. I'm a big fat gamer.
TGG, the voices are normal, and you should listen to them.
TGG. I'm getting offended.
TGG, this was the phrase we thought of.
Legal counsel advised us to replace what was supposed to go here.
TGG, it isn't funny until someone gets hurt.
There's bugs in my skin. You're responsible for me. I'm getting offended. I'm a big fat gamer.
TGG, the voices are normal, and you should listen to them.
What is up, everybody? It's me, your favorite son, here for another episode of TGG Plus. It's
Always
Friday.
remember the plus.
Always remember the plus. I haven't forgotten it
In many episodes.
quite
You've
some
been nailing
time.
it.
I'm on a streak now, I would say. It's Friday. the best show on planet Earth is here. And I'm here as always with my co-host, Evan Prince.
It's me.
It's the audience.
Thank
They're clapping
you. No,
for
please.
you, Evan. They're
That's
clapping.
too much. That's too much.
It really is too much.
It-
And our special guest this week, Niosai.
Hello.
Welcome him.
Thank-
Make him feel at home. This should be a second home to him. This should be.
I am at home.
Exactly.
He is at home. It even looks like he's at home.
Already
You look
there.
comfortable.
You guys'
could even
special effects budget is insane.
Oh, it's
could fool us into thinking that was your room or something.
Yeah.
special effects budget's even higher than the guest acquisition budget because that's just, I mean, my bank account's basically
off the charts.
They're only paying me $10,000 for this episode. It's insane.
That was
Yeah.
You're not supposed to say
Zeroed
that.
us out. Zeroed
Sorry,
us
I
out.
didn't mean to leak that.
But we're gonna be getting into a few different things this week. We got the title of the show is Game Pass Dying. It's gonna be our big discussion here. We'll get to that in a bit. Some other small things. The Space Marine 2 leak. I don't know if you guys saw that. Might talk about that. a
Not
little
familiar.
bit. And something I'd like to talk about maybe towards the end is that the YouTube gun sponsorships change stuff. Did you guys see anything about that?
I have heard about that.
I haven't seen that.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah, it's pretty popular. It's been talked about a lot.
Yeah, it's a pretty big controversy right now, but we'll get to that later. For now, let's check in. Let's get comfortable. Let's have some fun. And I want to ask you guys, what have you been up to
He's
this
getting
week?
really cozy.
I'm getting cozy. I'm getting nice, and we're settling in. You know, we gotta. It's Friday. The
Put on some
weekend's gonna be
incense.
crazy. The weekend's
Put on
gonna
s-
be crazy. Saturday, Sunday, that's for all the fun stuff. Right now, we're chilling, we're hanging out, and I want to know.
Professionally.
Get you some lo-fi music on the background and just settle in with us for the next 2 hours.
Exactly.
It's gonna be good.
But what have you guys been up to this week? What have you been watching? What have you been playing? What have you been reading, listening to? Niosai, why don't you go first?
So outside of my normal Kingdom Hearts brain rot that I've been engaged in for the last 2+ years, this week, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. I just watched the finales for The Boys and The Acolyte both. I don't know if anybody here watches those.
It's like poetry, they rhyme.
Yeah, I've got. I'm very familiar. I don't watch The Boys, and I haven't seen The Acolyte, but I've been keeping up a lot with The Acolyte because obviously, a lot of my content is so Star Wars centric. I basically have to. So I'm very familiar with everything that's been going on with The Acolyte.
Interesting.
And The Boys, how do you feel about the new season of The Boys? I checked out last season. I stopped watching it.
Okay, so one of the big complaints that everybody had, myself included, is that the show kind of, sorry, this is not, I'm going to be vague, so it's not spoiling anything for anybody specifically.
And also be like censored, like YouTube censor. If you like, I know that they've had like some controversial occurrences on that show.
Yeah.
Right? With SA and
So
I
yeah,
haven't seen it.
I'm not gonna
That's
go
what I read.
into that. It's pretty egregious actually. Lately, it's one of my big complaints about the recent stuff. But so at the end of every season, it's like they kind of reset to status quo and nothing's changed. And it
Yes.
seemed like it was heading that way again. And this is the penultimate season. This is
Mhm.
like the second to last season. But I think the finale for this most recent season was actually really excellent and made up for how kind of lackluster the rest of the season kind of felt. So retroactively, I actually enjoyed this season a lot more than I thought I was going to. There was a lot of movement. They made me more excited for the next season, whereas I normally wouldn't be as excited.
Okay, so it must have been a hell of a finale. So you'd
Yeah,
say
it was
you're like
great.
one back. You're one back on it.
Yeah. I was.
We're
They
so
were
back.
losing me.
We're so back
Okay.
as opposed to it's so
Yeah.
over.
It's so over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're a fan
almost
of The
was.
Boys?
I'm a pretty big fan of the boys. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that was the biggest problem I had with the last season, was that you know, like you said, it just felt like this whole journey happened, and at the end they just ended up right back where they were at the beginning. It felt like no progress had really been made.
Yeah, they're just spinning their wheels.
Yeah.
Everybody has plot armor.
But that's good to hear because I have heard good things about this season-ish. I mean, it's hard to really discern anything on Twitter at this point, but it's kind of like a soup. It's kind of like a soup. You know what I mean? I'm not going to elaborate on that.
It's
like
a
there's
soup.
some issues. There's some issues with it, I will say, especially with some of the writing decisions that I think they didn't have to do it the way they did, and it's kind of baffling. But I can, for how good it, I kind of will take it as they did so much right that I'm willing to forgive some of the weird stuff. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. That's good to hear. Do we want to get into Acolyte talk, or is that off? Are we off limits?
I don't.
Neo,
We can indulge it for a minute.
we haven't told you yet. We probably should have gone over this before we went live, but we have 1 week of no woke talk.
I thought it was 10 weeks.
Or wait, sorry, 10 weeks of no woke
It's
talk.
10 weeks
on
of no
stream.
woke talk.
We're,
We're just sick of it because
we-
the past few episodes, it seemed like every time we're talking about it's like something woke.
Some
we're just tired
people
of it.
are calling this woke or something like that. So we banned woke talk on the.
Yeah.
on the
So
stream
if it's
for
going to
10
come up
weeks.
about whether or not, if there's discussion about whether or not something is or isn't woke or has woke elements or
We
whatever
can't
that
talk
even
about it.
means, we're tired of it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
Especially.
I typically don't even engage in conversations that involve the word woke. So I think I'm clear there.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
That's
that's
good.
basically what we're saying.
We like
We're
to
on
get
a
into
ti-
the weeds. We like to sit on the fence. We like to do a lot of different
Yeah,
things here.
we're big fans of finding whatever the most fence sitting.
Centrist,
Yeah.
non-offensive.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about the quality of the show in general,
Well, yeah,
not
That's
anything to
perfect.
do with that kind of
We're mainly-
nothing
we're mainly-
outside.
Yeah,
We're mainly just
really,
kidding.
yeah, we're
I
really
know,
just messing
I
with
know.
it.
It's a joke.
Uh,
But yeah, tell us about the Acolyte. What do you think? I've been keeping up with it, and I watched a bunch of the scenes from it, but I
So-
haven't actually watched it.
I actually had a conversation with someone earlier today about this. I don't know how much you guys know about the Acolyte or the wider Star Wars universe and story and lore and stuff. And again, I won't spoil anything specifically, but some of the complaints that I've seen about the show have. God, how do I explain this without spoiling anything? I have it. Okay. So some people have complained that some of the things in the show have hurt other aspects of the Star Wars storytelling outside of the show. Where I'd argued that everything in the show is more self-contained than basically any other piece of Star Wars media I've seen in a long time. Because I don't know, I'm assuming it's set during High Republic. It's set way before prequels. It's the furthest back chronologically live-action thing we've ever seen from Star Wars, as far as I know. And everything is disconnected from the Skywalker stuff, which is my favorite thing about it. It doesn't have the best writing in the world, but I don't think the writing is atrocious, like Twitter would have people believe, it seems. And I think it was entertaining, which is all that really mattered. And I think one of the actors, who again I will not name, gave a very killer performance that I did not think they were capable of, and that's my bad.
I want to know so bad who you're talking about.
If I say who I'm talking about, it reveals something about that character because they initially don't seem like they have an important role. So I don't want to
Oh, okay.
be specific.
That
Yeah,
makes sense.
Damn,
Okay.
you have to tell me
Yeah.
after the show.
Yeah, it'll be.
I can.
post.
Yeah,
So you're sold on it. You're liking the Acolyte.
I like it in general. I think it has some problems, but I think again, it kind of I'm willing to forgive. I'm more forgiving when I consume media than a lot of people are. I've noticed.
I am too.
So some of the things that people were pointing out as issues, I didn't think were issues at all. Some of the things that people were pointing out are issues that the writing team doesn't know anything about Star Wars. You can find a thing 10 years ago that the writing team was inspired by, an established lore thing, something that happens in the last episode. They're they just pulled that out of their ass. Where'd that come from? I can curse, right? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're
No,
good.
you can't. We do it all the time.
Okay. But yeah, they pulled that out of their ass. They just made that up on the spot. They didn't. It was established in 2016. I actually fact checked that today. People are up in arms about it. It's the kind of pedant, Star Wars fans.
Are you referring to saber bleeding?
Yes, saber bleeding specifically. Which
Yeah, that's a Disney thing.
it's a Disney thing, which I understand is a lot of people's thing. But the people that are losing their minds over it are people that didn't even know it was a concept and think it was made for the show.
Yeah, no, it was. Well, a lot of people are upset because they weren't consistent about how saber bleeding even works. Now the thing is, I'm not going to talk about this too much because I don't partake really that much in the Disney continuity.
Mhm.
You know, like
You're a Legends guy.
the Legends continuity and the
Okay.
Disney continuity are like two, like it's like a multiverse. It's like someone who enjoys the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, but not the classic Spider-Man comics. They're two completely different entities. They're very different in tone, execution, and a lot of other things. Um, but even I like some of the Disney stuff, but the saber bleeding, the way that it was established in not only several books, but even one of the games, is you have to remove the kyber crystal out. You have to torture the kyber crystal, which turns it red from like force, like torture and pain, and then reinsert it. So for the blade to become red while it's active goes against even their own pre-established continuity, which I don't care, but that's what people are saying about it.
And I think that's where I'm like more forgiving than most people because I also believe in rule of cool.
I do too.
So I
That's a
thought that
very
it's
bogus
much
thing.
it was a much more impactful thing to have happened in that moment than if like I don't know, like they
Right.
could have done a bunch of things with that scene, but I thought that was cool.
Dude,
So
I don't like a lot of things about the Acolyte, but I saw people complaining that one of the fight sequences like used a bunch of slow-mo, and I was like, this is cool as fuck.
That scene was so cool. I do not know why people were so upset about that scene.
I don't either.
I
don't
thought that
like
was
it.
one
I
of the
don't-
coolest scenes.
I don't want to defend that show because I don't care about it. I don't do Disney continuity, but that was a cool fucking scene. You know,
The choreography in that show is top notch. Actually, I can't. That if anybody's going to complain about something about that show, the last thing I would see people complaining about is the choreography. It was
They'll complain
it was
about
pretty
anything.
solid across the board.
Ewoks are. I
Yeah,
finished the video
I
games
finished
in
the
the
video game
chat.
says Ewoks are woke.
He's in there with
They
the.
are.
With the truth. This is the truth. I
The
think people
truth.
need to understand the truth here. Ewoks woke.
Woke. Got to ban it all. Got to get rid of
What
Star
can you do?
Wars all across the board because it was woke from the
From
start.
the start.
If they rhyme.
Before the word was even established.
Woke.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so you're getting up in the boys. You're getting up in the Acolyte. Evan, what have you been getting up in? Maybe I should stop
haven't been-
saying that. That's probably doesn't sound good, huh?
No, please do
I-
go into detail.
Okay.
I don't watch a lot of TV these days anymore because I'm just busy doing other things and not a lot of shows really interest me. Also, I'm kind of a baby. I don't like shows that do the premise like The Boys do. I couldn't get into Game of Thrones or The Boys because I'm not a big fan of shows where it's like, what if everything sucked? I was like, okay. They're all like scumbag, predator, evil. They're the worst humans imaginable. And the whole show is just everyone sucks. I'm like, okay, I don't want to watch that. I'm a baby. I like rule of cool action stuff, but I don't like shows like I watched the first season and I was like, okay, I can tell this is not for me. So I bailed out way a while ago. Mainly all I've been doing is playing Budokai Tenkaichi 3, which, you know, Niosai knows about that because we've talked about that. But I've just been spending most of my time playing and getting footage of Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. It's the first time I've played it, actually, and it's in preparation of the release of Sparking Zero.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, very excited about that.
Okay. All right. I have been doing something fun this week. I've been having fun. I'm trying out this new thing. It's called Fun. No,
I'm not familiar. Is it good?
It's
Do you
pretty. I'm
recommend?
liking it. I'm enjoying it. No, I don't know if I've talked about this on the show before, but I have a huge affinity for the game DJ Hero. Have I ever-
Really? I think I saw you talking about that.
Yeah.
I did.
I saw that.
I posted a picture on Twitter. I was obsessed with DJ Hero when it came out. It came out. I wasn't really aware of how little people knew that this game even existed. But it came out at the tail end of the peripheral harmonics era. There was two of them, and it was a turntable. Here,
Also, I agree with what you're saying. I finished a video game.
it looks like
How about the
this.
witches?
It looks like
Oh,
this.
there we go.
It's a turntable, and you press these buttons, and you scratch the record at certain points, and you have this little fader to
switch
switch
the-
tracks. Yeah. and I was in love with DJ Hero. It was easily the best of those games like that.
Let's go.
That was released at that time. All of the tracks in the game were like not all of them, but most of them were remixes of like putting two songs together and blending them together super well. Really, really good game. And I finally decided this week to I'm just going through a rhythm game renaissance. I bought DJ Hero 1 and 2. I bought the turntables. I'm scratching. I'm turning the needle. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. I got a guitar for Clone Hero on my PC. I'm up and down the
through the Fire and Flames.
Yeah, Fire and Flames on expert, 100% first try. No, I actually was a lot better at Guitar Hero, having not played it for like 6 or 7 years off rip than I expected to be. I was doing like hard 98%. You know,
like riding
songs.
A bike.
It is. You just pick it up and you're like, bam! I remember it. I remember everything. So that's been fun. I've been doing a lot of that, just chilling out, playing rhythm games. I bought this book. It's Sid Meier's memoir.
Hell yeah!
I didn't know that existed.
Me neither.
Me either.
I think I saw it on Twitter. Sid Meier's wrote his own memoir, so I'm checking that out. Because we were actually talking about it on the podcast at one point that we had never seen what Sid Meier looked like
until that reveal.
Yeah, until that Summer Games Fest thing or whatever.
Yeah, everybody was really confused. A lot of people didn't think he was their guy. They were like, "Wait, Sid Meier's a real person?"
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I don't know much about him actually, so I picked that up, reading that. But yeah, that's about it. I'm chilling.
You've had a pretty eventful week. That's like fun.
Yeah.
You really have been having fun.
I've been having fun.
DJ
watching,
Hero, Sid Meier's.
And I know this is like my thing. I talk about this a lot, but I've been mainlining old Western movies like you wouldn't believe. Like I'm watching as many as I can, as many John Wayne movies as I can. I watched the Man Who Shot Liberty Valance this week with James Stewart of It's a Wonderful Life, probably the best movie ever made.
It's a Wonderful Life or the other one?
It's a Wonderful Life, yeah.
That's your take for the best movie ever made?
I think it's one of the best movies ever made. Top 10.
Very interesting.
Have you ever
You've never
seen
it, Niosai?
Are you about It's a Wonderful Life?
Yeah.
As a big movie guy, I somehow haven't seen it. It's one of those that I have like a big list of movies that I need to see and I just haven't gotten to yet.
It'll blow you up, dude. Your head will explode watching that movie.
I used to have a friend, and he was my roommate for a while, who was petrified of that film because that the moral of that film is like you know everything you have is right here at home with the people you love and all that, and all he wanted was to get out of his small town and go like have an adventurous, exciting life. So he was constantly, his biggest fear for years was, if I just don't want to find out that everything I needed was here all along, because I want to go and do things, and it would suck so bad if I just have to be okay with being here. It was funny. He brought that movie up a lot.
That's tragic. That's
it was almost like a horror movie for that person. Okay.
Yeah. That's I think it actually ended up coming to pass.
That's kind of the modern like dilemma right there. Like, you know, like all of these other things telling us we need to go move to a big city and, you know, do all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, not really. Wow, that's deep. That's deep.
I wanted to I'm going back to something you were talking about. You were talking about DJ Hero.
Yeah.
I think you undersold how good those soundtracks are. I am a big rhythm game guy, and I've always been a big rhythm game guy. I play Stepmania for fun, even to this day. I play Clone Hero. I got hard on that Fortnite Festival thing. But I wasn't super interested in DJ Hero because I didn't find the gameplay appealing at the time. But then, for the first time one day, back when I was in high school, I discovered, just by accident, the Robot Rock We Will Rock You mashup from DJ Hero 2, and it sold me instantly. Yes. It was so good.
They're so good because they're all original mixes too. Like, it isn't just you're playing this song that you've heard before. This is like an original mix that they did for this. And the best thing about it too is how it's kind of punishing. It's kind of like the most punishing game that they made, because when you miss one of the notes on one of the tracks, one of those audio tracks goes out. So either the one song or the beat from this song or the master or whatever, that track goes out and you can't hear it anymore. So it's like this deafening quiet after you just had this like raucous beat, you know, going on, and then it just cuts out and you're left to sit in like, oh, I fucked up. Damn.
Yep.
And now I'm not even having fun because like I can't hear the song as it was before. Yeah. So I got to get back there. You know, it was something, man.
It's a pretty interesting gameplay loop.
It's underrated. It is extremely underrated.
It's so good.
Neither of them did very well. And I think DJ Hero 2 was the last, before Guitar Hero Live, which came out like 7 years later, but was like the last one that Harmonix did like that.
It was like a last hurrah until they tried to come back like a Phoenix, and the Phoenix died immediately and did not come back.
Yeah, and then they made Fuser, which nobody liked.
I liked Fuser.
It was okay. I thought it was kind of cool, but it definitely wasn't what people wanted from a Harmonix.
So, what's interesting about Fuser, little known fact, they had a game that came out before Fuser in between that space. Well, some people might know about this, called Drop Mix, and it was kind of a video game, kind of not. It's essentially this thing where you had this physical little thing that you could buy, and it came with a deck of cards, and these cards all had like song tracks on them. Like if you played Fuser, everything was broken down into like lead, vocals, drums. The cards had that, and they had song names on them. I have it somewhere, probably in storage, but you had to download an app on your phone, and essentially you connected this little kind of like the Disney Infinity thing, you know, like the little thing that you put the figures on. You could put up to, I think, 5 cards on it, and it literally was the same gameplay loop as Fuser, but it was physical cards. Fuser, cool. They just made it into a video game.
Damn. Here, I'm pulling it up right now.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, these actually look like fucking Amiga.
It was a ton of fun.
People just didn't give it a good enough chance.
That's kind of cool.
It didn't get a whole lot of publicity. They even had special cards you could get at events that you can only get at those events, and they're probably stupid expensive now.
That's sick. That's actually pretty cool. That's a risky idea. Before we get off this rhythm game topic, I have something I want to show people, because I've never used this in a video or anything, and it was kind of an ill-advised purchase. I bought this on eBay. It's called Tomoyashi Hotel Stolen Song. It's like supposedly like one of the first peripheral games ever made. It's for the PlayStation 1. It's in Japanese.
See that.
I haven't played it yet. I still haven't played it to this day. But it comes with a very small peripheral that is shaped like this. It's in the shape of a guitar pick. What you're supposed to do, there's even a little picture depicting this on the back. You're supposed to hold up something like a tennis racket and pretend it's a guitar. And then you use this peripheral to strum to the beat of the song. I
wonder if it works.
I also wonder that. Maybe I'll play it this week, and then next episode I'll get back on Tomoyashi Hotel.
Reads the input of you strumming as just like a motion input, and then that makes me wonder, by extension, if you could just plug a controller in and press a button and get the same input. Sorry.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought maybe there's like a button on the pick and you have to like push the button when you push down, because there's no way that's a motion controller.
It is some sort of like gyroscope thing. There's no buttons on it or anything. Like it does do something, but I'm almost curious if it's just a up or down, like if it's very simple, and how responsive it actually is. It's probably not great, but I just thought it was interesting that this was a thing that came out on, PlayStation 1 back in the day.
Black Cat, I'm surprised you can even tell this is a Silent Hill shirt. Someone in the chat knows. This is Silent Hill beanie, too. It's the
want to just want to throw this out here. I told Black Cat's actually a real life friend of mine. I told Black Cat that I was going to be on this podcast, and like, wait, did you say your favorite son? And I'm like, yeah. Black Cat is a die-hard Silent Hill fan, and said that they watched your retrospective like 6 times.
Go.
So
yeah, I found him through his retrospective on Silent Hill. I'm a die-hard Silent Hill fan. I'm wearing 2 pieces of merch right now, just by happenstance, not planned. It's a Downpour shirt though. Oh. Yeah, you can't see it. It's got Murphy Pendleton's prison number on the back of the shirt. It's pretty cool.
That is cool. Hell yeah. All right, you guys wanna talk about Game Pass?
Yeah, let's talk about it for 30 seconds and then immediately move on.
I actually do have some. I don't know. Okay. So Evan, why don't you tell us about this news with Game Pass that came out? The
So
FTC stuff.
I only looked at it briefly earlier, but the thing is, anything that gets the FTC involved is really, really, for those who don't know, the FTC is the Federal Trade Commission. Anything that gets them involved, especially when it comes to gaming, is really interesting to me because like you have to be doing something funny to get their attention, you know? So with Xbox, Microsoft getting their attention with this Game Pass thing, it has to do with Call of Duty, of all things, right?
Okay.
Apparently, Microsoft was supposed to put Call of Duty on Game Pass, and it was supposed to create all of this value for the customer, but they weren't supposed to raise their prices.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only reason that some merger was allowed to go through. And the fact that they're now raising their prices is like making it is like invalidating the reason they were allowed to go through with some kind of merger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a quote that says Microsoft price increases and product degradation combined with Microsoft's reduced investments in output and product quality via employee layoffs are the hallmarks of a firm exercising market power post merger, which is a no-no.
Yes.
You're not supposed to be able to do that.
Right here.
So I don't know. I think it's super funny because it's so rare to see the government actually do anything about anything.
Yeah.
And with the amount of layoffs that have been happening in the just all across the gaming industry and the amount of like acquisitions, especially with the Embracer Group thing, to see finally the FTC look at it and be like, okay, maybe this has gone a little too far. You can't just buy the competition and then raise prices and lay people off and screw everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope this is not something I would say often because I'm not a big fan of the government. I hope the government wins this one. I hope the FTC fucks. This is not something you'll hear me say often. I hope the FTC fucks Microsoft, dude.
I've thought, well, I think, you know, when Game Pass first came out, I thought it was a good thing for the average gamer, right? Because I think it gives the average Joe who just wants to buy an Xbox Series S, you know, the no disc model, the cheapest model. Maybe they're even using that Walmart payment thing where they get Game Pass for a year and they pay like $20 a month or something until it's paid off. Whatever. Who just wants to play games. It gives them a good variety of games to have access to. There's a decent amount of indie games that get put on Game Pass as well, so maybe they're inclined to try out different games that they wouldn't have normally. And at the time, it was pretty good value for what you were getting. And I think obviously as time has gone on, that's changed. It's gotten to be less value for what you're getting. And it's also, you know, Mercenary in the chat said, from what I understand, I think this whole Game Pass thing was just a way to get you to pay for games without even really owning them. And that's a good point as well, you know, furthering this whole like physical media thing this discussion that we constantly have going on in the gaming space. Yeah, I don't know. It's certainly not good.
It's very bad.
I'm going to sound biased, but this isn't going where you think it is. I'm a Game Pass customer.
Mm-hmm.
I've had Game Pass for a while. And I really, really loved it when it came out. The reason I still have it is because of how good it was when it came out. And I was also really stoked because I have the Game Pass Ultimate, which means that I also get access to like the EA Play basic tier or whatever. However, over time, I found myself using it less and less. Like, there have been times where I've bought a game that was on Game Pass and like, dang, I could have just played it on Game Pass. I could refund it, but I just choose not to.
Yeah.
And the problem with that also is that a lot of Xbox games I've noticed have been, and this is not quite related to the main point, a lot of Xbox games, though, like, look at something like, I don't know how many people played Power World, but if you play the Xbox Game Pass version of Power World, it is nearly identical to, like, the Steam version. However, it only has crossplay with Xbox. You cannot play with other PC players on Steam.
Oh, wow.
And that's the case for a lot of games on Game Pass, weirdly enough. And so that automatically limits the appeal of Game Pass. And then with what you're talking about here with the FTC stuff, one of the big things that I think Microsoft made a gamble on was they wanted to put Call of Duty on Game Pass to kind of increase its appeal, because I think they want to eventually focus less on the hardware space and more on the software space and on the subscription customer acquisition thing.
Oh yeah, Game Pass
However,
prints money. Prints
yeah.
money.
However, at the same time, I think they didn't realize how much they were shooting themselves in the foot by ramming it through and getting it approved, because every single action they take with the Game Pass is now going to be scrutinized on a multiple governmental level worldwide, including increasing, like, so many subscription services have increased their price rate lately because they can, and people will pay it. Whereas Microsoft can increase the Game Pass price anytime they want. That's not a big deal. The customer will probably keep paying. However, the government's going to care about it, and I think that your title says is Game Pass dying. I think that Game Pass started dying the second they acquired Activision.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I think it's been pretty known that Game Pass doesn't really make that much money. Like
which is insane to fathom.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they came out like it was maybe a year or two ago and said like, yeah, we need this many Game Pass subscriptions to be profitable, and they were like way under that or something.
I'm suspicious that these executives lie about this. Can we do I want to do just a little exercise here that's very relevant, if you'll indulge me.
Okay.
Son, can you pull up a calculator and a notepad real quick? So I just Googled something, and I just want you to indulge me for a second.
Maybe wait, should I have this? Should this be on screen?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. I think it's better if it's on screen.
Okay.
Okay. So pull up Notepad.
Okay.
All right. Game Pass, according to Google here, has 34 million subscribers as of February of 2024.
Okay.
Game Pass for PC costs $11.99 a month. So let's round up to 12.
Okay.
Can you do 12 times 34 million? And let's just see how much they make a month. Monthly. I just want to see how much Game Pass makes monthly. That's not even counting Ultimate, right? That's just the PC. 11, not the 20. So this is how much they'd make if all 34 million users only bought the cheapest tier.
You can't see it because my thing is, but it's 408 million.
Say that again. You glitched out.
408 million.
Okay, so it's $408 million. Now, that's a month. Can you times that times 12? 408 million times 12?
Yeah. Oh God. Okay, I'm not using the Google calculator anymore. It's terrible. I've never used that before, and it fucking sucks.
There's
If
a
you want a
Windows
fast
calculator.
Yeah, Windows R, type in calc, enter, and you got a calculator instantly.
No, yeah, I got that. I just
Okay.
I was trying to keep it on stream, and I've never used that
yeah.
calculator before, and it's just fucking
Fair
terrible.
enough.
It is 4.8 trillion.
That's how much they make a year on Game Pass, and they're telling us it's not profitable. Can you
Really?
just say that number just one more time? Say that number, please.
4.8 trillion, 4.9 trillion technically, rounded up.
And by the way, this is if everyone only bought the cheap $12. This isn't factoring out that half of them are like the $20 tier. If we factored in that
They
even
have 34
30%,
million Game Pass subscriptions.
yeah, they're fucking lying to you. There's no way that's not profitable. It's not possible.
Well-
if that's not profitable, they're the most irresponsible business people in history.
Well,
Are you
let's-
fucking kidding?
let's- wait,
I did this
hold
with
on.
Disney Plus too.
Hold on. That can't be right. 4.9 trillion.
Yeah, I'm not sitting here like, wait, hold
All right,
on.
well then you
Oh,
read
wait,
it.
maybe
What
it's
is
four. Wait, it's 4.8 billion. 4.9 billion
a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to
That's-
say,
I
that's
was
I
like,
was
wait,
like,
how did it go from trillion? How did it go from billion to trillion? Yeah, it's 4.
Okay, so
sorry, I'm just stupid.
No, but even then,
That's
four
what it
point
is.
billion, right? $4 billion a year. You're telling me that's not profitable? $4 billion. Do you guys know how much $1 billion is?
Yeah, I do. So the thing is, I mean, so you would have to. I mean, you would have to know. This is where Game Pass gets so tricky, and this has come up before. We've talked about this a few times with my idea of like my ideal is a video game box office where we know how much each game makes, and where that gets a lot muddier is when we don't have accurate sales data, when we don't. when the company just straight up doesn't release sales data, or when something like Game Pass happens. We don't know how much these companies are getting paid to be on Game Pass. We don't know how much money companies are getting paid for exclusivity rights to platforms like Epic. It gets a whole lot muddier. So we really don't even have a roundabout idea. I know some people have released numbers here and there for deals, but I mean, it's so hard to tell. It's so hard to tell how much of that factors into the cost, how much.
But the truth is that it's not 4 billion. The truth is that it's more like 6 or 7 billion, because 4 billion is the number we got if everyone had the $12 tier. But
Yeah.
a lot of those people probably have the $20 tier, and that would probably double the price. But let's just be conservative. They're probably making around $8 billion a year. For reference, Disney bought the Star Wars franchise for 4 billion.
Yeah.
Another issue is that, like, we're talking about just how much they're making. They are paying these developers, obviously,
Speculatively, yeah.
but the problem is that, do you guys, I'm assuming you do know how the payment structure at least worked at the beginning, or how
Game
it was
Pass?
working. Yeah.
Please, no, this is
So,
tell us.
to my knowledge, and you might have to fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure this is how it works. They're paid upfront, I believe, to get it on Game Pass, and then any future royalties are being paid by engagement, which is not the greatest metric for every genre, I feel like.
Like if they like plays,
playtime and
downloads,
engagement.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. Okay. Yeah,
Like,
that's
if
really
you're a
weird.
short, take a game like Unpacking, for example. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. That was on Game Pass.
Mhm.
You can play that entire game in one sitting and then uninstall it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that's great for the developers of Unpacking if a lot of their, success is based on user engagement, because me, average player, is going to play through it one time and be like, that was fun, uninstall it, never touch it again.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like YouTube, right? Like if you have longer videos, you get better engagement, you get better push. I mean, Netflix uses some sort of method like that to track engagement, but that makes a little bit more sense, watch hours, stuff like that. How long are people watching? How long are people watching sitting down? With a game, I don't know if that's really even relevant, because it makes sense with something like YouTube. You can directly correlate. If a person is watching your videos longer, you are making more money from them because people are watching more ads. I mean, Game Pass doesn't have ads, why is it better if they're on the platform longer? What do you get from that?
I can see that argument for something like a live service game,
Yeah.
where you want to keep people on at all times as much as possible, spending money, going into your ecosystem. But the reason I brought that up was because it feels like they're doing that as a way to not have to spend as much when they invest in these smaller games, smaller companies that can't make a huge live service game. And that leads me to believe that if they thought it was going to be a home run, and again, I say this as a Game Pass customer, but if they thought it was going to be a home run, I feel like there would be a better payment structure than that one.
I just want to talk about real quick. I finished the video game. The number we calculated was based on the amount of users in February of this year. The numbers you're referring to are from 2022. So, I mean, it's that data. I'm not saying it. I mean, obviously that's correct. It's from court papers, but I don't know how much that's changed, because I think that the amount of Game Pass users in 2022, especially because it's really from 2021, because those papers coming out in 2022. I think that there's a lot more users, so they're making a lot more money now than they were in 2022.
Evan,
speculatively.
Evan, I think you might even be right anyways, because I mean, this article from July says Xbox Game Pass expected to make $5.5 billion in 2025. So
right.
4.9 billion isn't that far off of that. So I mean, it adds up a little bit. Maybe we're a little bit off. Maybe we're, a few 100 million or something.
Did you guys see the leak for the? This is related, I promise. Did you see the leak for that? I think it was scrapped, but they had an Xbox console revision that they were gonna release that had there was a slideshow, and it was like, oh, I can't remember how they did. They tried to make it seem like diskless, cloud only, download only.
Yeah.
That essentially it was like a Series X, but with no disk drive. It was meant to be download only, and I think it was meant to be kind of like a high-end Series S situation.
Yeah,
but
I think they've announced that even now.
I just think that they clearly want to pivot in this direction of like squeezing as much as they can out of Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a mistake, at least in the current space, because again, we only have two big players for the hardcore gaming audience. You know, like Nintendo is kind of in a league of their own. They're doing their own thing. They're succeeding. They're not directly, even the court case said they're not directly competing with Microsoft and Sony, at least for the purposes of this argument.
Right.
But Microsoft, I think they're looking at the longest long-term possible, not accounting for the fact that there is still a major player in this space that they don't have as many resources. They could at any time do what Microsoft is doing. They're choosing not to because they don't feel like they have to, but they could do at any time what Microsoft is doing, and they could do it without the scrutiny of something like the FTC. And I think that also kind of limits Game Pass's potential long-term, because Sony is not going to get the FTC on them if they create their own Game Pass, because they already have something like that. But it's mostly
PlayStation Plus PlayStation Plus is arguably better at this point. And I mean, they did sort of turn it into Game Pass with the availability, because before the PS5 came out, it was you had to claim the games during the month that they were active, otherwise you didn't get access to them. Now you just have access to a library of games as soon as you sign up.
They still have the game claiming thing though.
Yeah, it is still around, which is weird.
Well,
so it's not totally Game Pass, but I mean, it's pretty close.
The thing is, if the future is going to be streaming,
Mm.
It won't be as profitable as it potentially is now. But they're trying to get ahead of the curve before it hits, where they're not scrambling to get on board the streaming service, because Netflix was the only streaming service for a while, the only major one. But just because now we have 15, 20 different streaming services doesn't mean Netflix is gone away, right? It just means that it has to compete, which eventually, you're right, Sony will jump on the train. And I see people talking about difference between revenue and profit. You're absolutely right, but you have to understand that if you're making a lot of revenue, that doesn't equal profit. But if you're not making profit with that much revenue, then you're going to discontinue it. And Microsoft is
spending
clearly
$70 billion.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Microsoft clearly thinks that this is going to make profit if it's not already making profit.
I don't necessarily think it's mismanagement. I just think this idea is pretty flawed, because this idea is trying to supplant like you said, the Netflix model. They're trying to invest in the future. This is almost certainly what happened. Is a board meeting took place where somebody said Netflix is making a lot of money. We need to make the Netflix of video games, and everybody freaked out. And they went, yes, that's the best idea ever.
Game Pass.
Yeah, and they did it. But the difference is the cost of a video game is way higher than the cost of, buying the rights to some shitty movie from the 90s that like 500 people are going to watch. Like purchasing the exclusive rights to a video game that's about to come out that cost whatever $500 million to make is insanely more expensive. So you need way more subscribers than Netflix has. Way more subscribers, and it probably has to be a lot more expensive, which is why the fucking price, this whole thing is happening right now.
I think they're trying to invest in what they believe is going to be the future model. And I also think that some people, I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I think a lot of people who are in like decision-making positions think that soon they will not be releasing individual games anymore.
Oh, you think? Okay, you're saying
option.
This is like banking on the idea that this is the
I think that they're expecting soon that people will not be purchasing individual games. They will either sign up for Game Pass or Sony Pass. You know what I mean?
That's a possibility.
I think a lot of board members believe that is the future.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is or isn't. I'm just saying I think that that's what they think, because they're always trying to predict the next thing.
This just goes back for me to this is not normally a thing that you can do strategically. I just think they're thinking way too far into the future and not looking at the short-term ramifications of this, trying to future-proof that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the big things.
That is what's happening. I'm speculating.
Yeah.
Right. This is all speculation. We're not in the boardrooms, but like
I am right now.
Oh, we both.
Oh,
were,
shoot.
apparently.
Okay. Yeah. Isn't this a conflict of interest? No, I'm just kidding. Like. One of the big sticking points also for the FTC, which nobody saw coming, by the way, was their investment in streaming, which they had to divest that as one of the terms for it to go through initially, the Activision acquisition. And they ended up going to like some streaming company no one's ever heard of. But the fact that they established, which ended up, I think, retroactively being proven true. Nobody knew that one of their big things that they were trying to do was essentially like become almost a monopoly in the streaming space, at least for video game streaming. One of the big sticking points was that, and that first off, they had not done any kind of like they've had like the Xbox Cloud streaming. What's it called? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it was pretty minimal. It's not something that they focused their marketing efforts on. But based on the FTC ruling, like the way the FTC was acting, you would think it was the number one thing that they'd ever talked about.
Yeah.
Because again, that was it wasn't even the fact that they were trying to acquire a huge, massive publisher like Activision. They were like, we don't want you to be a monopoly in the streaming space. But it turns out Microsoft is just so forward thinking. That was kind of where they were hoping. They were hoping the dominoes would fall and eventually streaming would become much bigger than it is now. And I think it will.
Yes.
I think streaming is going to be the most, I don't want streaming to be the only way to play games, but I think it will become more and more accessible to people, which accessibility typically, at least with video games, equals, cost savings, hypothetically equaling a bigger customer base. You're going to convince somebody more to try something that they don't have to buy a $500-$600 console for than. Anyways, that's going to be on the point. That kind of, I feel like, reinforces my point that they are thinking so far in the future that they're not worried about right now. And actually, it bit them in the ass in the FTC ruling because I don't think they gambled on their future streaming aspirations to affect them attempting to do an acquisition in, early 2020s.
Yeah, and I think to go back to what you said, something you said at the beginning, but the getting too far ahead of themselves thing is a thing that happens, that I see happen a lot in games. And it's a thing I think we've talked about a little bit on here, but it's the idea of the gaming market trying to emulate the film market and where it is now. And it's always a terrible idea because maybe it's not in this case. Maybe Game Pass is going to be super successful down the line and they're super ahead. But it's always a terrible idea, in my opinion, because the film market has had years and years and years to develop, and gaming hasn't. And they try to get way too ahead of themselves to go, oh, let's just do what movies are doing, let's do what they're doing. That's what's successful in the market. But it always screams, half-baked or like way too soon. And I think streaming and Game Pass stuff, it is a bit way too soon for people to even really be okay with that idea of that sort of thing.
I mean, I think we all remember when Sony tried to do live streaming video games on like the PS3. You guys remember that?
What is it called?
PS Now or something?
They actually acquired one of the earlier, I think they acquired OnLive or Gaikai or something.
Yeah.
One of those really early game streaming efforts.
Yeah, they still have it.
It didn't work.
They have, I will say this, they've made it better. They've taken a lot of efforts to try and make it better. And but
it's been ongoing for like 12 years.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you can't emulate it, because if you can't emulate a PS3 game and you don't own it and it's not available for purchase, it's probably the best way to play a PS3 game at this point. Like, I think
Sony is realizing the short-term kind of unviability of predominantly streaming games, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, they've been porting or like kind of backporting. They have an entire company that they have just kind of porting older games like PSP. Like Daxter just came out. A couple of games just came out this past week. A couple of big like mascot games, because they're bringing more and more.
I talked about that in my Killzone 2 video. Of course, I didn't know that was a thing until you just told me. But I said I think Sony should have like an independent R&D wing that is dedicated to figuring out the most to creating a new methodology of taking games on the PS3 and pushing them onto other consoles.
Nintendo does it with Nerd. Like they've been doing it for like at least 10-15 years now.
Yeah.
And it's worked out great for them. People are begging to spend money on games they've already bought before from Nintendo. And Nintendo, I think, figured out they have like their own Game Pass, and they trickle out releases, but it's releases that work great and have additional features.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, hate on Nintendo because it's not ideal. They didn't have to charge, and it doesn't have to be a subscription service. But regardless, what they're doing is successful. Mm-hmm. And I think that they are not doing it on such a big scale that it's going to hurt them, but they're also not doing it, if that makes sense. They found a balance. I feel like they know exactly what their audience wants. They know exactly how to keep their audience excited for new things, and they're constantly iterating. Like, everybody's still wondering, what's the next thing coming to Nintendo Switch Online? When are they going to add, I don't know, GameCube games, which, again, I don't think is going to happen. But, like, the fact that that's even a question. Like, with Xbox, we're not like, okay, when are they going to start making it to where I can play, I don't know. Like, I guess, okay, Xbox isn't really the best. PlayStation's more of a better...
Yeah, Sony's the best example of that, because they have done some porting stuff of PS1 games, PS2 games and stuff, and it's always terrible. Whatever emulator they fucking slapped on there is just kind of garbage, and there's all sorts of issues.
There's rumors of a PS3 emulator right now, though, that just started happening in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, really? I haven't even seen that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you mean? What do you mean PS3
Here,
emulator?
I'll find it. Here.
Because you don't mean for PC. You mean something else.
I
mean for the
assume he
PS5.
means, yeah, for the PS5.
Yeah. So I finished a video game, just said something pretty interesting where he said, isn't the core problem that Xbox just doesn't have the brand strength to be able to get away with all this? And it made me remember back in, I think, 2013 when they had that awful like E3 or whatever reveal where they like announced. Do you remember that? Where it was the Kinect and it was like super family friendly. It's like, this is a media center.
I'll put this in your general.
It has now like rang familiar that Microsoft doesn't always have the best track record with trying to predict where things are going. Because you remember that they tried to make this big Xbox reveal. It's like, oh, it's the Kinect and family friendly and media center, and it backfired so hard.
Mm-hmm.
So they are always trying to figure out what's next and trying to like go after it. But last time they did that, it ended up hurting their Xbox brand really badly.
Yeah,
irreversibly.
So we might just be seeing round 2 of that, or they might get it right this time. I don't know, but it's just funny. I finished a video game, said that, and I was like, yeah, but why is their brand so bad? And I was like, well, they didn't do themselves any favor with that one.
I mean, it's a good point. They haven't. Everybody has their bad years when it comes to consoles. Everybody has their bad generations, but I don't. Is it just have Xbox accumulate? Did they have too many back to back? Did they? Has it not been long enough for them to gain some ill will back? Because the series generation is ish okay, and their focus on
the naming
PC is a little bit more. Yeah, the naming scheme is terrible.
They're making baffling decisions.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, did you guys ever see the chart that showed the Nintendo Wii sales, the Nintendo Wii U sales, and the Nintendo Switch sales? And it's like the Nintendo Wii U sold like nothing, and most people think it's because people thought the Wii U was a peripheral to the Wii.
Is it? Yeah. I can see that.
It's like the Wii sales, the Switch sales, and the Wii U sales, and it's because the prediction or people thought that the Wii U wasn't they didn't know it was a new console.
The Wii U is so expensive secondhand because it didn't sell, so there aren't that many in circulation.
Yeah. So I think that the series, it's a bad naming scheme.
It's terrible.
People don't know the fucking differences.
It's awful. Unless you have looked into it, you probably don't know the difference between No, you don't. I don't. I bought my dad a Series X for Christmas or his birthday or something because he likes games, and honestly the Series S or X is perfect for him. Gets Game Pass. He can switch off of games whatever he wants. Like he's an old man. He's not going out to buy specific games anymore. He's just looking through shit, and he's like, "Oh, that looks cool. I'll check that out." But I bought him a Series X for Christmas, and he had no idea the difference. He didn't understand, and he was thinking about buying one before I got him one, and that was the reason he didn't get one, because he didn't know the difference. It's terrible.
So one thing I wanted to highlight too is that Microsoft. I like Microsoft in general, for the record, but Phil Spencer, I feel like, is the only person anybody really knows anything about from Microsoft.
Yeah.
But in addition, it feels like all the decisions that Microsoft is making are not being made. Like I said, they were looking too far in the future, but also they're being a bit narrow, because remember the stuff that just happened with Tango and how they laid off basically all of them. Tango's gone. One of their biggest sleeper hits, one of their biggest, they didn't expect it to happen, was what was the game?
Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody loved Hi-Fi Rush, right? And people were like super excited. What's the next thing Tango's working on? Tango is kind of their wild card. Tango is their, I'm not going to say like PlayStation Studios, but Tango was their kind of like, what's a similar thing? Like the Astrobot, Asobi, right?
Yeah.
Tango was kind of their team Asobi. Mm-hmm. And instead of, building on that goodwill and saying, we're going to highlight this team, we're going to make this team, we're going to set them up for success, we're going to give them any resources they need. They're like, we can save a buck by shutting them down and focusing on these huge AAA titles that people are kind of indifferent about.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's you can't really say that Sony doesn't treat their studios better. They generally give their studios
comparatively speaking,
credit, marketing, and all that stuff, and and I mean, a lot of their games are pretty big successes. I mean, of course they pour shit into the Horizons and the Last of Us and all that stuff, the big money makers, God of War, but they certainly aren't shutting people down left and right. So
true.
Okay, so final thoughts on this? Closing.
So I'm not meaning to be distracted. I'm just responding to family thing.
Closing statements. You're good. What are you thinking, Neo?
Man, when you say is Game Pass dying, I gotta go back to what I said. I think it started dying whenever they acquired Activision, because it was one of those thinking way too far forward things. I think Game Pass can survive. I think they can make it something that people want, that people can use, if they make some huge changes around, I guess, their brand and their image.
Yeah.
Because they can pour every dollar that they have into, huge AAA games, but money cannot buy goodwill. Money cannot buy word of mouth. And I think that's where they're going to struggle the most. And then, of course, the FTC thing is just a whole wrench in that cog. They have that looming over them forever. That's never going to go away. And that's going to limit them forever. But I think as long as, and that's the thing, as long as they play their cards right and actually try to build real goodwill and not just throw money at the problem until they hope it goes away, it can survive. But at the current trajectory is that Game Pass, I feel like, is eventually going to be significantly changed in a way that makes no one want it, and they do this on purpose to drive people out, or they're just going to sunset it in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
That seems like a probable outcome. Actually,
I couldn't really make a good prediction, to be honest. I don't really know where I see this actually going. But what do you think, Evan? You see it going down? You see it crashing and burning?
I think it's probable, but that's not what I personally think is going to happen. No, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Neo's dead on. By the way, my prediction is no more likely than what he said. But personally, I think Game Pass is not only here to stay. I think it's going to continue to make more and more money. And I think over the next 10 years, it's going to accumulate more and more users. And because here's the thing, what you said about bad will and bad faith and all of that, their main clientele is going to be the generation after ours for Game Pass. So all of the people who were frustrated about any of these decisions and won't get Game Pass won't matter in 5 years. But kids who are in middle school, who don't give a shit about any of this and never heard about it, are going to get into college, have expendable money, and be like, I would much rather, I'm in college, I don't have that much, I'll just pay $10 a month, get Game Pass, and get everything I need. And by that point, there'll be even more games. I think Game Pass is going to, I think Microsoft is probably right. I think it's going to continue, unless the FTC really forces something, which I don't think they will. I think it'd be funny if they did, but I don't think they're going to. I think at most they might push them a step back, and then in 3 years they'll be undone and they'll be even further ahead. But I think Game Pass is going to set a new standard. I think in 5 years it's going to have close to double the amount of customers, and other brands are going to be scrambling to catch up. That's what I think.
Can I add on to something?
Yeah,
sure.
Go for it.
I want Game Pass to succeed. I think as a concept it's actually great. I think it's really good for people that don't I've discovered a bunch of games that I would have never played if it wasn't for Game Pass. And I think, again, I'm a Game Pass customer. Why wouldn't I want it to succeed? I find some value in it if I'm paying for it every month. I think that as it exists now, I can still handle it even with the price hike. I just think that if it never gets better, that's gonna maybe cause me to eventually drift away from it and decide, why am I still paying for this? However, at the same time, he makes a fantastic point. A lot of people do not have any idea. A lot of people don't know who Tango is. A lot of people, as soon as you said that, I was like, God, that is such a good point.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know who Tango is. Tango is. A lot of people don't know about any of the behind the scenes stuff. A lot of people want their Call of Duties, which, again, That's fine. Some people literally just play Call of Duty. It's their Call of Duty box, their Call of Duty Netflix box, right?
Yeah.
And
100%.
That's so
honestly,
funny.
that is
COD box.
that is actually a fantastic point I didn't even consider. I think that for people like me, specifically me, my outcome is very likely. Whereas for the people that he just described, that actually is probably even more likely.
Yeah, I do agree with you though, and we can wrap this up, but I do agree with you though that I also want it to do good. I do think it is slightly better for the average consumer. I think the average consumer having to spend less, ideally, of course, assuming price hikes don't go higher and higher, but the average consumer having to spend less on getting to play a bunch more games is probably good. And I think that more people using the platform are going to play games that they never would have touched otherwise. It's way harder to get your average guy to browse the PlayStation Store and find a $10 indie game and buy it than it would be to just put it on the front page when it comes out and put new and have your average guy go, I'll check it out, and
Unpacking.
Yeah. And that's I think good for the market overall, people trying more indie games, smaller projects, stuff like that, branching out a little bit more when it comes to games. I think that's good. So yeah, I would like it to do well too. But who knows? I have a question for both of you.
Sure.
This is our new segment. It's called the question segment.
Let's go.
No, I during the week I write down questions. This is kind of a question I ask myself, but I want to know what you guys think about it. Do you think that you are good at video games?
No.
No,
No.
no,
I
that's a
know I'm
running
not.
thing. That's a running gag on my channel, actually. I'm not great at video games.
Okay.
I'm good at some video games, but in general, no.
Okay. Why do you think you're not good at video games?
I'll let you
Because
go.
I would say okay. Because let me explain a little bit. Because I ask myself this all the time, and I think I'm bad at video games as well. I would venture to guess that most people that do gaming content on YouTube also think they're bad at video games, because we're metagaming everything and like getting down into the nitty gritty and all this stuff. But the reason I ask the question is because I think most people that don't do this think they're good at video games. You know what I mean?
Well, I actually, now that I've thought about it for a second, I have maybe a little bit of an expansion to clarify on the question. The idea of being good at video games has really been challenged, I think, recently, because you have people who have, because if the end of the spectrum, like if you've got if a 1 is somebody who's never played a game before and they pick it up and they like struggle to like move forward and turn right at the same time, and a 10 is someone who can speed run Elden Ring with a no weapon, no armor build.
Yeah.
Like, what's good? But if you remove those, and good at a video game is I beat Dark Souls, and bad at a video game is I struggle to beat Halo on Legendary.
I think
right?
the question
what do we quantify?
the question is less objective than you're making it out to be. Do you think you're good at video games? Not do you think that my metric of good matches your skill. Do you think you're good at video games?
Then it changes, because I think I'm pretty good at shooters, but I don't think I'm good at fighting games.
Okay. Well, that's an answer.
Right?
You're allowed to have that answer.
Okay.
You can
All right,
extrapolate.
well,
I'm not.
I think
asking you
I'm
to
good
say
at
yes or no.
shooters. I think I'm good at shooters, but I think I'm not too good at anything else.
Really? You think everything else you're just bad at?
I'm not bad at it, but okay, I'm
not
bad
great.
at fighting games. I'm actually bad at fighting games.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm
terrible at fighting games.
I'm competent enough to play any other game on like a regular difficulty. But if I play most games on hard difficulty, I don't want to play anymore.
Frustrated?
I'll turn it off. Yeah, I don't like getting frustrated. I'm like, that's the thing is, I know that's completely valid that people like to get frustrated when they play games and overcome challenges. I don't like that, so I'll turn the game off. I won't get like mad. I'll just be like, this sucks. I'm not having fun, and then I'll turn it off.
I think I'm. I don't even know what genre I would say I'm good at, because I also don't think I'm good at video games. For the record, I think I play video games often, and I go, fuck, I fucking suck at video games.
Really good at walking sims.
Yeah, I'm great at walking sims. Great at VR gun range games. No, I don't know. I don't think there's really one that I would say I'm great at. Definitely bad at fighting games. Terrible. It's funny that both of you say you're bad at fighting games, and you're both.
Well, the Tenkaichi games are not fighting games.
3D arena fighters.
Yeah, well, they're definitely not traditional fighting games.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a multifaceted answer to this question because
Go for it.
I'm going to get philosophical here for a second. I'm not using that word correctly. Bear with me. So, before I answer fully, you have to take into account that skill-based matchmaking is basically the standard across the board now.
Yeah.
So, regardless of how good you are at a game, the only real metric of how good you are at a game is your rank at that point. And there's so many things that go into ranking systems in games now that you could be great at a game, but your team just drags you down the whole time. That's entirely possible.
Yes.
So, when it comes to competitive games like that, a lot of times I just don't bother with competitive modes in video games because I just don't like torturing myself, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so to address, there are certain game types that I feel like I'm better than the average person. Rhythm games. I think I am generally good at rhythm games. I'm not top level at most rhythm games. There are always going to be people that are miles above me. I'm also not going to... I know a lot of speedrunners, and that's not a flex. I just happen to have met a lot of speedrunners since I started doing content creation. They're all incredibly good. They are like top level, obviously. You have to be top of the line good at video games to be... So I'm going to take that away from like my mean average, so that way I don't feel as much like an outlier. When compared to the average audience of people, like humans, I am probably average or slightly above average at video games. However, when it comes to being like a gaming creator and being surrounded by commenters that say, very keyword, say they're good at these games or better at these games, I'm probably considered bad at games. And I have a perfect example of this. I'm not trying to self-promote myself, which sounds weird, but just bear with me.
No plugs!
I'm just kidding. I made, and I'm not even, I'm going to remake it eventually, but I made a couple of Tekken videos covering it was a retrospective on Tekken a while back. I'm not good at fighting games, right? Most of the stuff on my channel is fighting game stuff, and I'm not good at it. In fact, I'm going to reveal this here. It's not my favorite genre. In fact, it's probably toward the bottom when it comes to genres I actively play. It's just that people like watching me play them, and maybe me being bad plays into that. Who knows? But whenever I made those videos, most of the comments were like my standard comments, you know, like just people talking about the games and sharing their memories. And then a really cool thing happened where the director of the Tekken series at Bandai Namco, Harada,
Oh shit.
tweeted out my videos.
Damn.
That's
And that
awesome.
was really, really cool. But also, you wouldn't believe the
You got
flood.
Oh, yeah.
Why would you share this? This guy's so bad. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's why he shared it, first off.
Yeah.
But it actually, that's what led to me doing this thing. And I told you I play into this on my channel. First off, I have this gag whenever I play fighting games where I'll try it online, and then I will, 9 times out of 10, lose. And it doesn't even have to be fighting games. It's basically any game that I play online. And essentially, it's a gag where, like, if you actually look at any of my profiles, you'd probably see the word opposite day in there. I basically make the joke, you think you won, but it's opposite day. So I have a 100% win record because you beat me on opposite day.
Yeah. That's good.
It's a dad joke. It's only as long as it makes my spouse laugh, that's all I care about.
That's
But
good. Goals.
that directly led to me doing a thing, which is actually one of the things I'm going to do more when I live stream. I did this tournament called Niosai,
Mm-hmm.
where
a good
essentially, thank you. Essentially, the idea was, I'm making a Street Fighter video. I'm gonna have not a Street Fighter. Sorry, I remade my Soul Calibur video, which is my first ever like video that I made in the format that I'm known for. I remade it better because I'm better at making videos than I was, and I ran a Neo Slayer tournament. And the goal was not to beat me. The goal was to beat me faster than anyone else could beat me. And it was so much fun, and I'm gonna do it again 100% in the future.
That's a
but
really good
That's
idea.
a
That concept-
fantastic idea.
yeah, the concept only works if I'm bad at fighting games, and
Yeah.
fortunately, I'm bad at basically all fighting games. So it's great. It's so fun. But yeah, I'm not fighting games. I am absolutely terrible at. I actually get tilted very quickly. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also really bad at fighting games. I love Tekken. I played Tekken a ton when I was a kid with my dad. It was a huge bonding activity for me and him. Like Tekken 3 on the PS1, we played it a shit ton. And I played every game after that up until like 5, I think. And then I have this thing where whenever a new Tekken game comes out, I buy it, and then I remember how bad I am at fighting games, and then I only play it for a little bit. I usually play the story because that's the best. That's what I like the most about Tekken is the style and the story. And then I try to play it online a little bit, and I'm like, this is the year. This is the time I'm gonna get good at Tekken. And then I try.
Do it.
I play it like 15 hours, and then I'm like, I can't fucking do this anymore.
No, go ahead.
Well, the whole reason I brought this question up is because I did expect you guys to say that you weren't good at video games, because I assumed that everybody just thought that way. But it seems like the Dunning-Kruger effect kind of thing, where like, you know, the less you know, the better you think you are, and then, you know, as you get, you know, more proficient, like we all play video games a lot, and doing that over time makes you realize, no, there's people that are way better, but in reality, we're probably all way better than the average person at a video game. I think, you know, if we had to go up against the average person of, like, if you could find the middle person of the skill level of all video games in the world, like, we'd probably win most of the time, you know.
Is there any style or genre or anything of competitive game that you guys think, if you were in a room of 10 people, you could beat 6 or more of those 10 people at it?
Random?
I'm confident. What?
Like random 10 people?
Let's say casual gamers. When I say casual, I don't mean mobile, but like they like to play games in their spare time as a hobby, that kind of thing. Because for me, I think specifically arena shooters competitively, I could beat 6 or 7 out of 10 in any given room, but that's it. That is the only, even like non-arena shooters, I'd get wiped. But
are we talking about his hypothetical average person?
Let's go like hypothetical, like casual hobby gamer.
So if you pick 10
at a gaming convention.
Oh, at a gaming convention?
Yeah, like people who play, but maybe they're not the best. Like average, like people who enjoy games. So we're pulling out like I don't play video game people. You know, is there any genre you think?
I would chance, but this one's kind of, if it's not necessary, if it's not just limited to 1v1 games, I think that I am generally higher level in something like Overwatch, because I no-lifed that game for like 2 years.
So hero shooter.
Yeah, not all hero shooters, Overwatch specifically.
Okay.
If I could play them in Cataclysm, World of Warcraft Cataclysm Arena 3v3s.
Hell yeah.
And it was 3 of me on the same team against them.
Yeah,
there was 6 Niosais on my team, 100%.
We're assuming a team of people roughly equal skill level. Yeah, for me it would be like Halo Reach,
like PvP
specifically.
PvP but it would have to be in that era, and I would have to have all of the knowledge that I had back then. You'd
have to de-rust.
Yeah, that I think I probably could, but
with prep time,
maybe a rhythm game. I think I could. I'm probably better than most people at, but I think
I'm right there with you.
6 of 10 would maybe be pushing it, maybe 5.
And also, rhythm games aren't always played that competitively. They're usually just trying to go for high scores.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. Maybe a MOBA. I'm generally pretty good at MOBAs.
League of Legends.
Yeah. When I played League, I was decent. I think I could be your average person at League, or maybe a card game. I'm good at card games. Actually, yeah, I will say I'm good at card games. Yeah, I was. I played in the Hearthstone, like one of the first closed betas they ever had, and I was. I played it a shit ton, and I played it in the open beta as well, and I was rank 1 in ranked. Yeah.
There's this Dragon Ball card game I keep seeing advertised,
and
I don't think it's available in my country. It's pissing me off.
You peaked and you quit?
Yeah. I was like, well, I think I played it a little bit after it released, but then I quit. That was back when I was playing WoW a lot. So anything World of Warcraft that came out, I was like, yeah, I'll play.
So you played some Overwatch then? I'm just kidding.
I did play Overwatch when it came. I was a Blizzard fanboy. Have you ever heard of Heroes of the Storm?
Yep.
Yeah.
The MOBA with all the Blizzard crossover stuff.
Yes, I played that a shit ton, and that is not a good game. I played that a lot. It was actually originally announced as announced as Blizzard Dota. That was what it was called. It was just Blizzard Dota, and they had to change the name because Dota, which is weird because Dota started out as a mod for like it's but yeah, they had to change the name, and then they changed it to the Heroes of the Storm. And I played the fuck out of that game.
Which is a Dragon Force song too, by the way.
I think. Is.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Sounds like a Dragon Force song. You could be lying right now, and I'd still believe you.
It's Heroes of the something. I'm gonna look that up.
Heroes of the Symphony, Heroes of the Sinus Infection.
No,
I'd listen to that.
Yeah, that sounds like a metal thing. I'm assuming Dragon Force is metal. Is that who you're talking about?
Power metal.
Yeah, they're like power metal, like straight up like the ride a dragon into battle kind of power metal.
Okay.
Yeah, I love power metal.
Okay, that was good. Yeah, I wanted to ask because I think I would assume this is something that most gaming creators think, like, am I good at video games? And I think we're probably all good at video games.
We're probably decent.
Probably better than average, above average.
Really hyping us up here.
Well, I think it's something it's a little bit of perspective we should remember. There's no way.
Heroes of our time. That's what it is.
Heroes
of our time. Then they have a different
better
song
tonight
with Storm.
knowing that I may be good at video games.
There's no way that you make, many videos on games and play hundreds of games over your lifetime and are not better than average.
That's fair.
Unless you're DSP. Okay. So next thing I had, what do you guys think? Do you think we're going to get yelled at if we talk about the Space Marine 2 leaks?
I don't even know what that is.
The whole, not the
Why
whole
would we get
game,
yelled
but
at?
an early build leaked, an early playable build.
Maybe
leaked.
just don't show footage or anything.
Yeah, I think all the footage is like gone from YouTube at this point.
Yeah.
I sort of wanted to bring this up. I guess we can talk about this. It was going to be vague anyways, because the real thing I wanted to talk about, because this game comes out in September, an early build leaked, it's playable.
Like the full thing, right?
Yeah, I think so. Kick Rock said no spoilers, please. Listen, I haven't even watched the footage. I haven't played it. I don't want to be spoiled.
I didn't even know about the leak.
But it did leak. The only reason I even knew about it was because they released a press release where they said, hey, we're happy that everybody's excited to play the game, but please don't spoil it for anybody. And I sort of wanted to bring this up because it happens all the time. It's inevitable because dev builds are going to get leaked. But I don't know. It just sucks. It sucks that it does happen because I think leaks are more insidious than people think. I think when a leak comes out, people just go, ooh, I can play the game early for free, or I can see what the game's going to look like, or whatever. Like that thing that happened with the Wolverine game coming out.
Yeah.
It was like Insomniac, and all their other shit that got leaked. GTA 6. It's way more harmful than people think to the devs. And I feel like most people just look at it as a little sneak peek, when in reality, most people aren't knowledgeable enough to understand what a game looks like before it's finished, and how much that can change in the range of development. And so it really does hurt the game's image. Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, have their perceptions warped when they see the reveal trailer for a game, and it's like super crazy high production. Like, this game will be out in 4 years, but it looks like it's almost done. But people don't understand the concept of a vertical slice and how everything outside of that guided demo you just saw is like white rooms with default checkered textures on them and barely functioning gameplay elements. Like,
I didn't even think about it until what you just said, Neo, but the fact of the matter is that a lot of times developers and publishers will release trailers that do the exact same thing leaks do, but in the opposite effect. They release trailers that look way better than what the game will do. So, I mean, that's really, they do the same thing in the opposite way.
Yeah.
And I agree with you ultimately. I don't think leaks are a great thing. They'd be better if they happened less. I just choked myself. But
First
I
live
think
death on TGG.
I think news outlets are more likely to release articles and talk about a game leak than a game release. And so I have always been suspicious that some developers intentionally leak things, even though they know it's going to make
it
their game look
does
a certain way.
happen.
Yeah.
So because it gets people talking, because a developer jumps on a chance to talk about a leak, but they'll just be like, oh yeah, this game came out. So it's a lot of free marketing.
I don't
you
think
don't have
that's
to
what
pay for
happened
it
in
either.
this case.
No.
That
No,
seems
probably not.
Yeah.
Probably
No.
not.
It
If they released a
is-
press release like that, then probably not. But
It is a marketing tactic, but I think
can be used as one. Yeah.
it can be used as one. But I mean, do you remember the GTA 6 leak? Like when that's
Yeah.
and I mean, we're talking about GTA 6. It's going to be the biggest game ever released.
They didn't need that marketing.
Literally everybody plays it. So you are getting a large swath of people that have not played, literally will not play a video game until GTA 6 comes out because that's just the game. Like, oh, that's a cool game.
They
to
played
play.
Red Dead
That's the
2, and
video
now they're
game.
just waiting.
They played, yeah, exactly. I have a friend like that who does not play video games at all. He has played like maybe 3 games, and he played Red Dead 2 for like 400 hours or something, like something crazy. But when that game came out, there was all of this stuff on Twitter about this game looks like shit. I can't believe it looks like this, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I know that it sounds stupid, but it's people just they don't have that knowledge. That's not something that's in their brain. It's just they see something and they go, oh, this is pretty close to how it's going to look, right? You know?
We take
I
for
think-
granted how much we know.
Yes, yeah.
I
Not
think
that
there's
we're
even
fucking
more.
big brain or anything, but
I think there's more to it than even that. I don't think that it's just that they aren't knowledgeable that's causing them to do that. I think that you will get a lot more conversation, traction, attention by having a very strong opinion on something.
Mhm.
So I think if it was in person, if somebody was talking about it in person, like, oh, dude, I don't know about that. It looked kind of unfinished, but we'll see what happens. But on Twitter, you'll get a lot more people responding and talking to you. Like, man, this game looks like shit. It's going to suck.
I mean, that's true.
Because
you're
you
gonna
have
have the
such
soy
a strong
jack, though.
opinion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you can see, I've depicted you as the soy jack, so you're wrong.
You're
It's
wrong.
over.
You're wrong.
I mean,
that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not even. I don't even think. I think some people are just really, like you said, they don't have the capacity to understand what is going on with these games.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of it is people need to have a strong opinion. And to tie it back to when we were talking about with the Acolyte, I don't necessarily like that show, but I've seen a lot of people saying everything about this show is bad, and I'll be like, come on, man, I don't
Yeah.
like this show, but that's clearly not that bad. You don't have to have the strongest possible opinion on everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All or nothing.
Yeah, and engagement bait. I mean, engagement
lot
bait,
of that.
100%.
That's
a lot
true.
of engagement bait.
That's true.
You see the wildest takes for engagement bait, and you know that they don't feel that way, but they know that them saying they feel that way will get them some kind of click button dopamine.
Especially people coming in to say you're wrong.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think but I just do. I mean, you know, it is free marketing, but I think in this case, it's probably pretty bad. It's probably pretty bad in general.
I
When
can't
it
believe you would
happens.
say that.
You're
so
wrong.
good.
Feet Labor 69. I can't believe this.
That's so funny. Man, that's quality timing.
You're
I'm gonna
wrong.
fight you after stream. We're just gonna have a whole argument. Not physically fight. Verbal argument fight. Just gotta be clear.
A fight in a video game. You're gonna play a
No.
fighting game.
Physically
And you're gonna
in
lose.
real
no,
life.
no. They know they have an advantage. No.
But I do think it is bad across the board. That was kind of why I wanted to bring it up a little bit. But I mean, I'm excited to play Space Marine 2. I couldn't be
Wait,
more
do-
excited.
Do we know when that comes out?
September 19th, I believe.
Okay, good.
Every time I
Busy
hear
time.
about it, I go check, and I'm like, damn, that's still too far away. It
Yeah.
is, September 9th, actually. This other thing I wanted to bring up, too, was the YouTube change that happened recently. Getting a little bit out of gaming
the
territory.
gun tuber thing.
Yeah, but this is the only reason I don't like Microsoft Edge is every website looks insane. There's 1 million ads everywhere.
You
Okay,
just get ad block.
I probably should. I say that every
I
time.
have ad block on my Edge browser.
But YouTube implemented this new policy where gun YouTubers cannot have sponsorships anymore for gun-related products.
Okay, so are you going to talk about how it's a link thing, or?
Well, hold on. Let me finish, and then you can elaborate.
You finish.
But
You
there was a prominent YouTuber, gun YouTuber, who brought this to light, and they it took effect on June 18th, and so they can't have any videos after that. But videos before that are like not subject
Grandfathered,
to it.
kinda?
Yeah, sort of. But any videos after that, just straight up, you're subject to your entire channel being taken down. So they had to take a bunch of videos down, every video that they made in between June 18th and now, so that they didn't get taken down. It's kind of a crazy policy because it effectively puts a ton of people out of business on YouTube, a whole community of people out of business on YouTube. I mean, they still get ad revenue, but they can't make money from sponsorships anymore, which is a big thing.
If this is
for some
doing what
people.
it's claiming to do, yeah, this is stealing people's livelihood.
Yeah. Because sponsorships are a big, whoa, we're getting ads.
Get those out of here. What are you going to say, Niosai?
So based on the conversation I had with you guys beforehand, you guys, I don't know if you're enthusiasts, but you know a little bit about guns.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm on the opposite end. I'm indifferent on guns. I don't have anything against people that like guns, but I personally, I'm not a gun enthusiast. I don't care that much about them.
Mm-hmm.
However, I also think that when it comes to content like that on YouTube, you're gonna find that content no matter where you go.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I've seen gun content. I know that a lot of gun content is completely harmless. I've seen people where they'll I don't know, see the impact. They'll shoot a watermelon or something, but the fun watermelon explode or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know. I think across the board, removing a specific kind of content that is, I know, a pretty big niche.
Oh yeah.
Seems a bit they're not removing it, but they're restricting it. Where.
Yeah, as a content creator, you mean? You
Yeah,
can
as
see
a
how-
content creator specifically, yeah, because I see this differently. Again, I'm not a big gun fan, but I also am a big fan of YouTube thriving as a platform, and I just think that rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
I actually have two things to say about this. The first one is I actually think this is dangerous.
What was that?
What happened?
Oh,
You got possessed by a demon there for
you
a
were
second.
Possessed.
Let's go.
We need to do an
Yeah.
exorcism.
I think first
Continue.
off, what I've heard about this is that it's not that they can't have sponsors. I've heard that that's people misconstruing it, and that the truth, and I could be wrong, this is just what I heard. I heard that the truth is that they can't link in their descriptions to a sponsor's website.
Whoa, you also
That's what
got
I heard.
possessed again.
Am I still?
I mean, even if that's the
What's-
truth, that is.
That's still bad, but that means you can still be.
That's effectively saying you can't have sponsorships because
But-
a direct link is always a.
They can't link to any sponsor or just gun-related sponsors?
Gun-related sponsors, just gun-related sponsors.
Okay.
That's effectively saying you can't have sponsorships because you have to
Yeah.
link to
But-
the sponsor.
I mean, if you're already consuming that content, aren't you gonna find that those things advertise you everywhere else anyways, thanks to analytics and tracking?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would,
100%.
but like you said, it affects the content creator if they can't get paid
Yeah,
to advertise it.
I guess
I-
I'm not seeing Google's kind of mindset here.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
the issue.
How this
It's
helps.
a reactionary thing.
Yeah.
But I think this has the opposite effect. Actually, I think this is more dangerous. Because the
100%.
whole point is they're trying to push people away because they think gun content, marketing gun content could be dangerous. But I think having channels, especially these
There's a
popular,
demon.
there's
in the-
gun tubers.
There's a demon in the. in
Yeah,
the
it's
lines.
called my shitty.
I know
it's
so
called
both
my
of us are
internet
having
connection.
the same reaction every time.
It's called my internet connection, is what it is.
Kill that thing. Get it out of here.
Is that the Doom shotgun?
Quake.
Oh, Quake. Okay.
think
It's
it's quick.
it's better to have it's better to have like good content, good quality content that is responsible, teaching
Happened
responsible
again.
ownership. Yeah,
Like a
it's just
jump
catching
scare every
my
time.
eyes. Yeah, that's
Can you
incredible.
like jiggle your line or something? Your
Is it my
XLR cable?
mic
It doesn't
happening,
sound
or
like
is
an
it on
internet
video?
issue. It sounds like a mic issue.
Yeah, it's your mic. It's like going robot mode every like. Yeah, just
Check.
there you go. Oh wait, now you can't hear you at all.
Check.
Oh, there we go.
I don't know.
Okay.
It
You
does
got a
this
loose
sometimes.
connection.
Yeah.
It does this sometimes for sure.
Okay. We're back. Continue. Sorry.
No, that's all. I just think
it's back.
Oh god.
Fuck!
It might be permanent. Unplug it. Plug it back in. Do the old PC test.
All right. Well,
Sorry
I
to
don't know.
completely derail your point you're trying to make.
Who cares?
I think. I think because the thing you said with the link, that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, semantically you can't link, but I don't see a sponsor ever sponsoring a video if you can't link straight to their platform. That's always a hard line. You have to pin the link in the top
Yeah.
comment or in the description.
Every
or
single
whatever.
sponsor I've ever worked with, that was like, they are very adamant about it. Some of them have automatic things that automatically do your top comment or your pinned comment for you even,
Yeah.
or mess with your description.
Yeah, because they will call it out specifically and say you have to have this. If it's not there, blah blah blah, whatever. Because
Like, you have to sign the document and everything
Yeah.
that says
Yeah.
you will do this.
Well, it's good for traffic to their website.
Yeah,
Like,
because
external links to their.
that's the whole reason they're doing it, right? Is
Yeah.
to get more people
Yep.
to their site. So if they can't do that, I mean, they're probably not going to sponsor. And even if they do sponsor you, it's going to be like half, a quarter, or whatever you're paid.
I think
before.
best case scenario, there's just fewer people willing to sponsor that content.
Yeah, maybe because now they can't sponsor anybody without the links. Also, this harms the companies as well. These companies that were finding a consistent line of revenue coming from YouTube
Yeah.
sponsorships. It harms.
It hurts a
them as
lot
well.
of people.
Yeah.
And I think the whole conversation now has moved back to this same thing that comes and goes about the difference between publisher and platform. Have you guys heard all that before?
No.
Well, there's a difference between being a publisher and a platform. So YouTube is a platform, which means YouTube is not responsible or liable for any of the content that occurs on
Right.
their website.
Mhm.
Publishers
Legal
are.
precedent.
Right. Yeah. But the thing is, they're not a publisher. So the fact that they would take it upon themselves to say you can't be gun content can't be sponsored there's no reason they would do that. They're not liable. It is them deciding a moral aptitude for not only the content creators but the content consumers. And it's their platform. They're free to do that if they want.
Yeah.
But why would you do that? And there's a lot of people who watch GunTubers, and there's a lot of GunTubers that have millions of subscribers. You're making a moral decision for your consumers, and whether or not people think that
We're
is
just gonna
don't.
ride
I think
through it.
people should think less about whether or not they agree with the moral decision, and more about whether or not they want their platform provider to be making moral decisions for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind
Because
of
next time,
it's kind of a weird thing. I don't know. It's kind of a weird. It maybe seems like a PR move a little bit, I guess, but I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing to randomly neuter your entire niche on your platform. That's it's really not even a niche. It's fucking huge. Gun tubers are massive. They've been massive since the beginning of YouTube. I mean, all the way back to FPS Russia. He was like one of the OG YouTubers.
Yeah.
Like they've always been big. So it seems weird to kind of do something like that.
I just want people to consider next time, even if you agree with this decision, next time you might not, and then you'll be
Yeah.
mad.
What if they were like, if you make gaming content, no sponsors, no sponsor
Yeah.
links, like,
Violent
okay.
gaming content. No more gaming content that features visual representation of death.
All right, your
Yeah.
favorite Call of Duty YouTuber is
over.
probably gonna quit.
Yeah.
All
They've
right.
already been doing that with swearing, right? No
Yeah.
F words in the first 7 seconds of videos and stuff.
I was
Like,
gonna make a
never-
Mortal Kombat video a while back, and I chose not to because that's whenever people were starting to
Gore.
get demonetized.
Yep.
Mhm. So-
Final Fantasy, the Square Enix did that like shit with Final Fantasy a while back, or not even a while back, with the new one where they were like copyright claiming anybody that had the soundtrack in their video. That was really big, so nobody would cover that game at all. I mean, there's all kinds of shit.
The focus should not be on the guns. It should be on the precedent that YouTube is saying we're no longer going to allow you to receive because that was how you did it. If you got demonetized, you would go for sponsors.
Yeah.
And now YouTube's saying, okay, can't do that anymore. YouTube is saying, we don't want you to make money doing this content.
Yeah.
We don't want you. We don't like you. We don't like you or your views, and we want you to not make money. Okay, it's your platform, but are we comfortable with them doing that? Because next time you might like, even if you don't like this content, next time you might like the content.
I think this problem would be solved if YouTube was just willing to have some kind of infrastructure to manually review these things. Because there is, listen, I don't care how much you love or hate guns, there is problematic gun content. But not all of it is problematic, not even close. And so if they were just
problematic general content.
Yeah, there's problematic content in every niche. And I think if they were willing to actually have a, I know how crazy in-depth that process would be, but if they were just willing to have some kind of actual review process or some kind of entity that wasn't YouTube itself helping decide whether or not something is suitable on a case-by-case basis instead of blanket banning it, it's the sucky thing about YouTube being such a big platform and being the only viable platform for that kind of thing.
Yeah. Cynics in the chat says the only weird thing about it is you're only concerned now because it's finally something you care about. Platform moderation is neither new nor unique. Listen, I don't even watch gun tubers. Okay, I'm not a gun nut. I don't either. I own a firearm for self-defense, but that's because I live in America. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't
watch any gun tuber, not a single one.
I've never ever watched gun content. I think the weird and shocking thing about this specific instance is not that it's something that we care about. It's that the sponsors are being gone after. That they're saying you can't have these sponsors. That's a little scary. That's I think for a lot of content creators in general, is it's going after a little. And
just general rule of thumb, just because it's the first time you're seeing someone address something doesn't mean it's the first time they've talked about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw something out there. I don't want to talk shop too much and bore people, but specifically to address Cynic's point, I'm a full-time YouTuber. This is what I do, right? And what people that aren't full-time YouTubers, or even YouTubers in general, it's not just full-time YouTubers, even YouTubers in general, a lot of things that people that aren't making content like this don't know is how much we follow this stuff and talk about it behind the scenes. Like, we're not talking about it publicly. That doesn't mean we're not talking about it. It doesn't mean we're not thinking about it. Every single policy decision YouTube makes, whether or not it affects me, I still pay attention to, because I'm like, okay, this, could be hinting towards them doing something different or bigger, or something that might affect me in the future. And it's best practice to know what's going on the platform where I get my livelihood from, right? So when you say you're only concerned because it's something you care about, it's something we care about by default because this is part of our livelihood. It's gonna, even if the niche was something like, I don't know, golf. I don't care. I could not care less about golf. It just, on my list of interests, it's probably towards the bottom, below, I don't know, watching paint dry. But if golf content started getting moderated in this same way, I would still care, because this is the platform. Like, what if your job implemented a policy that affected like 10% of your coworkers, right? You're going to be like, okay, that's kind of sketch. Like 10% of my coworkers that weren't really even doing anything wrong, or it affected their ability to make money. Everybody gets a pay cut across the border. Everybody is like, actually, you guys with this badge can only come through this door now. Why? We've decided that. Like,
we're not trying to.
You kind of have to pay attention.
We're not trying to single you out either. We just wanted to.
You raised a point.
We just wanted to make a point. Your comment was good to do that off of. But I think it is. I mean, it is. You make a good point as well. That anytime something happens on YouTube, it's if somebody.
Sorry, I got passionate there.
No, you're good.
It's fine.
We
care as consumers too.
Yeah, but if somebody gets banned on YouTube, if a niche gets taken down, if something happens, if people get demonetized, it's kind of like the bullet grazed you a little bit. Like, it's like, ooh, shit, that just missed me. Like, maybe I should watch out for that. I don't know how I'm supposed to handle it, but like, that could have been me. I don't know. We
were talking about the violent video games thing. Like, that could affect us, all three of us.
That's been
happening
I know that. Consistently. They've been cracking down little bits more and more on violence in video games on these videos.
Yeah, it's been
happening.
The thing with the I remember that game, the Mortuary Assistant. That game got really like targeted for some reason, and people like all those videos started getting age restricted and stuff. It happens all the time.
Just imagine if the only safe game to cover was My Friend Peppa Pig. That would not be fun for creators or the people watching.
Or consumers.
Yeah.
So and
It's bad for
It
everybody.
seems like Cynics. We've cared about this for a long time. I can assure you, all three of us have been caring about this. This podcast has only been going for a few episodes, so this might be the first time we've talked about this specific issue. But I promise you, we care, and not just as creators. We care as consumers, because I watch more YouTube than I watch anything else. My favorite YouTubers are video game YouTubers. That's all I watch. I watch a lot of retrospectives. We care as consumers. We care for the same reason you. We just. We want what's best. And when now this is unprecedented. This isn't just moderation. This is YouTube saying, you as your own independent content creator, your own independent person, we won't let you release your video if you link to a sponsor we don't approve of. That's bad. Yeah. That's not good. That's not a good thing at all. And this is new. This is a new thing. They have not done this before. So this is unprecedented.
I could see somewhere down the line, because YouTube has been having issues with sponsors for a while, trying to balance the line between censoring what's on their platform and keeping sponsors around, that sort of thing. Because the more they let through, the less sponsors are going to be okay with being on YouTube in their ads, not the sponsors that YouTubers would take. And they've been doing this balancing act for a long time. I could see them eventually doing something like, you're allowed to take sponsorships that we have from a list that is, YouTube approved sponsors. This is kind of a weird comparison to make, but in the UFC, they did this a very long time ago. They used to allow all of the fighters to wear sponsorships on their shorts, and like anywhere they had on their shorts, they could put a sponsor to a website or a drug or whatever. And that was how they made most of their money. And then after a while, they signed a Reebok deal. So they have one sponsor across the whole thing, and it's just Reebok on their shorts. And they're not allowed to take sponsorships anymore. I could see YouTube doing something similar to that down the line. Like, this is the sponsors that you can have.
Which screws small companies, by the way, because a lot of the sponsors on YouTube are smaller independent companies who like to partner with YouTubers. And if they're not on the list, that's not good. Although it might be inevitable, it's not good.
Yeah. And once you lower the pool of sponsors, I mean, sponsors only have so much money for marketing that they have budgeted out. So, like, even if these sponsors still sponsor people that aren't necessarily in this affected niche, it's still going to hurt people. Like, sure, some people may make more money, but a lot of people probably aren't. In fact, they're probably going to cut their marketing budgets for that purpose because they're not able to pursue as many people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, Origami said, this is a bad corporate response to a perceived social problem? I think so. I would assume that's the motivation.
I'm a bit more conspiracy theorist about it.
Yeah.
I think they've already been trying to figure out a way to start pushing in the direction of controlling who gets sponsored by what, and this was a good way to stuff that in a way that most people would turn a blind eye to.
Yeah,
so that now they've set the record that they can do it.
The safest.
You think they pick like a controversial topic so that way it might have.
And this was a great excuse. I think that they've probably been planning on trying to figure out how they can start controlling sponsorships and probably go for this list option because that's way better for them monetarily.
Yeah.
And this was a really good way to kind of sneak it in there and be like, oh, this is for your safety, but really this is speculation. I can't prove this, but that's what I think. I don't think it's them trying to be moral.
It's possible.
I think this is them trying to make money.
It's possible. It's possible. We have no proof. But
no proof. Possible. All speculation, by the way.
Yeah, just speculation. But I mean, it's an interesting. I think the most interesting point is, like you've been saying, what precedent does this set? What does this mean going forward? Are they going to do this with more things? It like Neo, you said, like, gaming is such a weird, because I've talked to people about this. I was talking to somebody about when I was covering The Witcher. And how many nude scenes there are in that game. How many fucking CD Projekt Red or Coomers, I've said it before, I'll say it again. So many nude scenes in that game. And, you got to cut them all out and cut around them and stuff. And people were like, wait, what? You can't have nude scenes? And I was like, no, you can't show video game nudity just because it's a video game. And they were like, I thought that was allowed. Like, I thought you could do that. And I was like, no, you can't. You'll get nailed. But it is weird because it's video games, so like what are they going to decide is too much for violence? What are they going to decide is not? It's just a video game, so it doesn't matter. You know, it's all up to their discretion, and it could change at any time. It's also like the OST copyright system thing. We as gamers have been flying good for years, getting by with using OST music, and it doesn't matter. It's never claimed for most of it. But any day, any time, they could decide to flip that switch, and we're all fucked. It's over.
Yep.
We're
Yep.
done.
Then we're all generating AI music.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to play games with just muted sound.
Yep.
Basically.
That's why they haven't gone after it, because it would fuck streaming.
Yeah.
Now, there was a thing that apparently happened. Again, I'm Kingdom Hearts brain rot. I believe it was either Kingdom Hearts or it might have been another game. There was a game that happened recently. I thought it was Kingdom Hearts. It might not have been because I didn't get hit with anything. But there was a game where the OST was added to Spotify, and suddenly there was a wave of content claims.
It puts it in the system. What
Yeah.
happened? There's a type of license you can get. I forget what it's called, but back there a few years ago when I was wanted to be in a band and all of this, a guy I was talking to who did like production for a bunch of major records was like talking to me about all this stuff, and he was telling me the first thing you want to do is you want to get your music registered in this database, because then it will be recognized by systems, and then all these benefits are happening. And what I realized is that's what gets it found. If it's not going to find music that's not in that database.
Yeah.
But there's like a license. I forget what it's called, but it's a thing that a lot of bands, a lot of composers will insert their music into this database. It's a licensing fee. They have to pay for it, and then that actually starts generating the money in the long run.
Yeah, they this has happened to me twice. I've never gotten
Thank you, Pablo.
copyright claimed. I've never gotten
We'll drop the links in a second.
Yes. Oh yeah, links. Yeah, we'll
yeah,
put those
thanks,
in a
Pablo.
second. I've never gotten copyright claimed, strikes, nothing like that ever, except for 2 times. One of them was on Silent Hill 2, and one of them, I believe, was on my first Metal Gear Solid video. Both of them I got appealed, luckily, but they were both songs that were made recently that sampled the OST
I had the same problem.
Yeah.
from the game. And, you know, I did a bunch of research the first time it happened to me, because it was the first time anything like this had ever... the first time I saw that fucking caution sign in my YouTube studio, and I was like, whoa, what did I do wrong? I've never done anything bad. And so I did a bunch of research, and I found the company that claimed me. And it's a company that small creators sign up with that will do this for you, that will, you know, claim your stuff to make sure it's not being posted around anywhere. But it's an automated system. So they sampled the theme of Silent Hill 2, and it just automatically picked that up in my video and was like, oh, well, it must be their song. You know, so if I didn't appeal that, if I couldn't appeal that, if it didn't get put through, then they would just be making money off of my video, you know, because they own the rights to that song or whatever. There's so many little holes in this system, not even little holes, massive, huge, glaring,
I actually have something
cannonball-sized
for
holes.
that. There's
ahead.
2 things that I wanted to say. First, I've only ever gotten one like copyright claim on a video, and it was for the dumbest thing ever. And I just wanted to share. It's not super related, but it's funny. The second thing's related. But the first thing, I made a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure video a while back. It was another remake video because I got better. And at one point, I showed a trailer for a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure mobile game that you can't even play anymore. You can't download it, and even if you could download it, you can't connect to server. So it's literally unplayable. And it's been unplayable for years. And I showed footage of the trailer for it. That got copyright claimed by the company that made it, which is like automatically, which is super strange to me because like, what do they gain from that?
Yeah.
For a game that you can't play anymore. But the other thing is, I'm not going to name this person by name, either person, because I don't want them coming after me. There is a certain game franchise that, depending on your size, it seems to only be happening to smaller creators because it's happened to a couple of my friends. But if you use music from that game franchise, I've used the music from that franchise, no problem, no issues. Some of the same songs, but if you're a smaller creator and you use music from that franchise, there is a person who has somehow kind of shoved their way into the content claim system to claim that they own that music, and they now automatically claim that they don't. In fact, they are very, very self-righteous about the fact that they're getting away with it.
Wow.
And there's no way, if you tag YouTube on Twitter about it, they'll just be like, if you have an issue with our system, use our claims process. It's like, no, you don't understand, YouTube. This person doesn't own this music.
Damn.
There's a lot of that, actually. I've seen people are doing that with all kinds of stuff. They are.
It's crazy.
They're
Yeah.
doing it on TikTok too.
This person claims to own the entire soundtrack to multiple game franchises.
Damn.
The one thing a lot of people are doing is they're finding viral videos. They're taking it, they're uploading it to Spotify to the database, and then they're claiming everyone who shows a sample from that viral video, and they're trying to pull revenue from it.
Oh, dude, that's such a good scam.
It is a scam, but
That's
there's a lot of
such
people
good
doing it.
scam. Damn, people are so smart. Great scams. Sometimes this is
Great scams, bro.
great scams. We've talked about this before. That there's certain times where I hear about scams, and I'm like, man, I wish I could just be a con
morally
man.
bankrupt.
I wish I
Yeah.
had no morals. I
Yeah.
make so much money.
Oh, dude, it would be so.
Spotify does not do a good job of checking that stuff either.
No.
I've found music where the album art is stolen, where they're using logos that they can't use, where there's just straight up samples that they don't have legal rights to use just because it's flooded. It's just too much to keep up with.
Yeah, something that skirts the line with that too that I've thought about lately with merch is just merch. People will just make
People scam with t-shirts
Silent
a
Hill
lot.
merch and shit, and like all these different types of merch, and they don't get caught. I mean, I've seen bands use it too, where they'll make like game branded shirts and then it has their logo on it or something, and it's like, I don't know. I worry about that stuff so much because one big merch drop that I wanted to do was I wanted to do a cigarette themed merch drop, and it was all cigarette brand, like the exact Newport logo, but it says your favorite son, right? In that orange font with the green thing.
Did you do a bunch of research for like copyright parody law?
Well, that's what I was getting into.
I've done it because of things like that before.
Yeah, because I was like, well, can I do that? Can I not do that? And then I just see people that are like just using screenshots from Silent Hill 2, and it's just like bands and stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck? You just
I
get
think
away
they
with it?
selectively go after those things a lot of times, depending on how much like publicity it's getting. Is
Yeah.
kind of what I would assume.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, you'd be way safer using screenshots than logos. Logos are a lot of times what they don't like you fucking with, but yeah, you can put a screenshot. They don't care about that at all.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and like you said, parody law. It gets into
A lot of times you can be
copyright, and
yeah.
It's who knows? They can do whatever they want. Actually, is what the law is. The company that has more money can do whatever they want.
Well, technically you can do whatever you want. It's only a problem if the people who own the rights are upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because if somebody is, because there's a lot of people who make indie games and they're like, I want you to pirate my game. Still, you're not technically you shouldn't be doing it, but if they don't care, then a lot of people feel okay doing it. And that's what it is with a lot of bigger companies, is they just don't care enough to pursue it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like look at Sega. They're on the opposite end of the spectrum. They're like, hey, you made a Sonic fan game? Cool. You should make a game for us, which they did.
Yeah.
Nintendo's on the opposite end of that spectrum, where I will shut you down and seek you out. I'll hire an American lawyer to find you if you make a fan game.
You have a child's birthday party featuring a Mario cosplayer.
Get Mario out of that child's birthday party right now. You don't have the rights to that.
Didn't a news story just come out about CD Projekt Red, where they hired a beetroot
Witcher guy.
farmer? Yeah.
Yeah, because he was remaking The Witcher and Witcher 3.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. There
Lord.
was a beetroot farmer from Australia that was remaking The Witcher in The Witcher 3, and they ended up hiring him.
Nintendo, hire this man.
He sent me the CV, and we did the test. The test was wonderful. He was great. Oh wait, maybe they didn't hire him. They had him send him a CV. They considered hiring him or something.
So this is actually okay. So
Oh
shit
no,
on Bethesda all you want.
Sorry, I want to just correct myself. He's
Go
a
ahead,
senior.
go ahead.
He's a senior right now on Polaris, the new Witcher game. He's obsessed about
Okay.
Witcher, so they did hire him. Yeah, I was wrong.
Yeah, so
that's
shit on Bethesda all you want. They do that a lot. There was this huge Skyrim mod. There's two examples of this that I can think of. There was this huge Skyrim mod that came out. I don't know if you guys heard of it. I can't remember what it's called, but it was basically an entirely new continent that somebody made with a bunch of quests and stuff. Bethesda hired this guy to work like on their games. He works for Bethesda now.
Yeah.
It's super cool. But then also there's this project I've been following. There's this like Fallout 4. I don't know how much you guys know about Fallout, but there's this Fallout 4 New Vegas remake project that's being made right now, and it's essentially remaking New Vegas inside of the Fallout 4
Is that
engine with brand new
London?
voice acting. No, it's a different thing
That's
entirely.
different. Okay.
Though I
I
think
have a
this
friend
happened
who-
with London too.
I have a
Okay.
friend who's working on the London project though.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
shit.
I think it happened with both. The only one I've seen firsthand though, because I'm in like the Discord server, was for the New Vegas one, which essentially they're making all new assets, so that way it kind of scrapes by. They're just using the same story, dialogue, and everything, but it's all brand new voice acting. But
Mhm.
it's New Vegas being remade, and I have seen like 3 different instances of an announcement that server saying, "Hey, project might be delayed a little bit. Our lead environmental modeler is no longer on the project because Bethesda has hired him." And it's like that's happened like 3 times now
That's
to
such a
that
good-
project.
really
They keep
good
losing people to
problem.
Bethesda.
That's such a good
If
problem.
you really
have.
want to stop a mod team,
Yeah,
hire them for your
all-
company.
Well, they did. I remember WoW. There was something with WoW like that. I don't think they were as nice. It was Blizzard back in the day. They shut down a very prominent private server, and this was before Blizzard had classic servers. And there was such fan outrage at them shutting that down. They were like, "You need to hire them to make classic servers," and I think they did end up bringing them in. To work
Wasn't
on
Jeff
the classic
Kaplan
server.
like a critical troll of WoW, and then he ended up being one of the directors?
I think so. Yeah.
I think he was an online troll that just shit on the game
Yeah.
constantly, and they ended up hiring him.
Yeah, it is weird with the gaming space what can happen and how you can. I mean, modding is crazy because I mean there's so much more effort that goes into that than people think, and it is impressive most of the time. Like you were talking about the Fallout thing. There's the Sky Oblivion project.
Yeah.
is another one where they're remaking Oblivion and Skyrim. It's it's a crazy amount of work. So when they see that talent and actually recognize that that is good. That is good.
Yeah, it's really wholesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap things up. We're hitting about the 2-hour mark. Why don't Neo? We brought you on here. Because
thanks for coming, by the way.
Yeah, thank you for
Thanks
joining
for
us.
inviting me.
We appreciate it. Thanks everybody
I've
in
enjoyed
chat
this.
for coming out. I loved your Kingdom Hearts video. I had been seeing you. Oh shit! I'm playing your videos through audio. I'd been seeing you you tweet about it forever and how much work you were putting into it, and it was a great video. It was very impressive. Go check that out. What can other people look forward to from your channel?
I will reveal here now that I'm still full on working on Kingdom Hearts because that was a part 1 of 3, unfortunately, because it was originally going to be 1, ended up being way too long. So it's now going to be 3 multi-hour videos. The part 2 is not going to take nearly as long to come out. However, directly after that, I plan on kind of stepping back a little bit from the multi-hour, huge giant projects. I'm going to probably re-tackle the original Dragon Ball Budokai games and do it better this time. So
Let's go.
There you go.
Just did those myself. Wrapped those up a few months
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. Evan is very familiar with that. Awesome, sweet. Well, go check his channel out.
Thank you for saying that, by the way.
Your channel, of course. Linking the channel in the chat. Evan, what are you up to?
Well, you can, just like he said, he's about to cover Budokai. You can actually probably see Niosai on my channel really soon. He's helping me out a little bit with an upcoming Dragon Ball Z video that you guys are going to want to tune in for. He does great content. He was doing it before I was doing Dragon Ball content. Fantastic. And my retrospective on Budokai Tenkaichi 2 just dropped tonight at 7 when the stream started. So if you want to, you can head out of this stream to my channel to go watch my retrospective on Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2. And then
By the way,
upcoming, yeah.
Everybody's here, so they know this. But both of these guys are fantastic, by the way.
thank you.
I
Thank you.
found them, I think, before they found me. So
Thank you. Oh yeah, shit. It is up right now.
It is.
Budokai
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
Tenkaichi
off.
2.
I'm just
No,
gassing
no,
you
by
up.
all means.
No,
I
yeah,
appreciate it. I mean, that means a lot coming from you because your content's arguably better than mine, which is why it's going to be so cool to have you on the Budokai Tenkaichi 3 video, which is in the works. You can look forward to that coming out soon. Yeah, so if you're a big Dragon Ball fan, you're going to love Niosai's content. You're going to love my content. I got Budokai Tenkaichi 2 out right now. You can go watch it. Budokai Tenkaichi 3 in the works. Niosai will be on that, and he's going to be talking about the original Budokais pretty soon. So that's what I got for you.
Hell yeah. Go check both of them out. For me, big one, Metal Gear Solid 3 this Sunday. Just got it uploaded, done yesterday. Was a grueling day. I've done this new thing now where I force myself to make things in Blender to make my video look cool to me, even though Nobody notices or gives a shit at all. And I spend
And I've seen it. I've seen a peek. It's cool.
It is cool. I do think it's cool.
really cool.
I've spent hours and hours in Blender making shit for this video. But I've also, you know, played Metal Gear Solid 3 a ton. Acid is also in this video, and Acid 1 and 2, and Portable Ops. And then after that, we're moving on to the Metal Gear Solid 4 era.
Finally, it's finally time.
Oh, I get to play Metal Gear Solid 4 soon. Yeah. So excited. But that is coming out this Sunday. Go check that out. And there's another indie games video on the way. I'm chugging through. I've got footage for about 5 or 6 of them so far. So that'll be out soon as well. Then Metal Gear Solid 4, or then probably like a worst Steam games video, and then Metal Gear Solid 4. I gotta say, everybody that watched the fucking most recent worst Steam games video, thank you. That is my best performing video, I think, on my channel ever, of like the beginning. It got like 100,000 views in like 48 hours or something.
Oh,
dude, insane. That series, I started that series as I was like, oh, I'll just put this out to like pad out time before the Witcher video comes out. Dude, it's nuts. That series has grown so much, and I'm so thankful that people like it, because I like making it too. It's fun. So yeah, but check these guys' channels out. Thank you everybody for coming out. Thank you, Neo, for joining us.
Before we tune out, I just want to vaguely, without context or anything, point out interesting roulette wheel you have in the background.
Oh, I wanted to. Wait. I have something. I wanted to tease something before we got off. I forgot about this. Thank you for reminding me about that. We are working on a new technology that we've developed. We're hard at work trying to design this and get it up and running. It's not ready yet, but this is coming soon to TGG.
You're gonna want to be here.
Just a quick.
It's gonna be good.
Just a